I wanted to ask you about your relationship with Eric Hosmer, and if you could just talk about that time with the Midland team, and did you guys ever dream you'd be in a position facing each other in a World Series like this?
No, I don't think. I think at the time we were more excited to be playing on the same team with each other. It was obviously the summer after I had gotten drafted by the Angels, and didn't really know if I was going to go to North Carolina or go to pro ball, and playing with him, and I played with Devin Marrero, and we played in Cincinnati, obviously, and it was a pretty awesome summer, and we became pretty good friends, and I think we were more excited at the time to be going to the World Series of, I think it was the Connie Mack World Series, I think, at the time, and I didn't know if I was going to go to college or go play pro ball, so thinking of playing in the World Series at that time was definitely not in our minds. And I haven't seen him or spoken to him yet, but it's definitely going to be a fun matchup.
And all the way in the back left?
With what you've been through since 2013, I guess it was this month you had the surgery, was there a point where you didn't think you'd get back to this point? No,
I think the biggest worry was when I was deciding if I was going to have surgery or not. And I think, for me, I wanted to take some time. Obviously, it took about 2 months from finding out I had a slight tear to actually going in and having surgery. So I think in those 2 months, there was probably a lot of things that, went through my head. If I was going to be the same player or same pitcher or even close to coming back. And, once I decided I wanted to have surgery, I all those doubts and thoughts and, especially negative thoughts definitely went out of the window. And, I knew I was going to go see the best surgeon in the world and have the best staff behind me and training program. From then on, it was kind of a no-doubter that I knew I would be back.
And over here to the front right.
Matt, with all the talk about velocity in this World Series, I'm curious, do you remember when you hit 90 on a radar gun for the first time? And also, how much of a difference does it make on the results when you're at 98 as opposed to, say, 94?
I think for me, it might have been sophomore in high school, going into my sophomore year of high school. I think when I first got excited about hitting 90 miles per hour, and from then on, as soon as I hit 90, I think the velocity kind of took off pretty quickly. And obviously as a young kid, being in high school and going to all these tournaments, that the velocity is so important. It was pretty exciting to kind of be up at the top of the list. But I think the biggest thing that I've learned, especially this year, is pitching and mixing in different pitches and different locations. Whereas before I've gotten away with just blowing it out, throwing 97, 98. I think maybe between the long year and having surgery, I think I might have lost a little bit of I don't know how they say it, but effective velocity, I think, kind of went down a little bit. So I really had to learn how to pitch a little bit more and kind of go out there and be a little more crafty than normal.
And over here to the far left.
Matt, with all the success the Royals have hitting that upper 90s heat, how much does that change how you approach that lineup?
Well, I think I've been a little fortunate. I think the last, obviously the last 4 starters that we've had, I think I'm kind of topping out at the least number right now. So for me, behind Noah, who's throwing 150 million miles per hour, and Jake, who very wirily throws it up there in the high 90s, I think, I've been happy with pitching at 94, 95, and, really mixing a lot of different pitches.
And over here again to the left.
Matt, whether it was the first spring training outing against Detroit, you were lights out. Started the season, lights out. Last game against the Cubs, lights out. And yet there were some speed bumps along the way. So in the midst of that, was there any one start that you've made, even if it was the last one or all the way back to the first one against the Tigers in the spring, that said to you, I got this, I'm back, or are you still somehow even striving for that?
No, I think definitely the last one against the Cubs. I think for me, finding out that maybe the life on my fastball, I can still ramp it up there to 98 miles per hour. But right now, I'm not worried about the life coming back from the Tommy John surgery. I think that's the last thing to come. But I started to realize that I think that was the biggest difference. Some games where I went out and, for instance, against the Pirates, I went out throw probably the hardest I threw all year, and obviously they were having no issues putting up some crooked numbers. So, for me, I think the Cubs series, the Cubs outing definitely, made me think a lot and really know that I can be successful at 94, 95, and really just work on hitting spots and mixing my pitches in.
And over to the right front.
Matt, aside from even your surgery, how meaningful has it been to you just to complete your first season wire-to-wire, no DL since, and now still succeeding in the postseason on top of that?
Yeah, no, it's great. I think, leading into the season, you don't know what to expect. Obviously, going from, 0 innings to, I think, 202 now, I couldn't be happier. And, obviously that number's still gonna creep up. So I think the best thing and the most positive thing is how I feel after the 200 inning mark, and quite honestly, it's probably better than I did at the 100 mark. So, for me, the season was obviously an extreme success. Just being healthy, playing, going out there every 5th day or whenever it was, and being healthy and being where we are now. I don't think anybody's happier at that than I am.
Did you watch Madison Bumgarner in the World Series at all last year? Is that the bar in your mind, the 1-5 come out of the bullpen for 7?
I mean, the fact that they won, I think anybody wants to do what he did and getting his team what he did. But we obviously have Jacob deGrom, Noah, and Steven Matz, and better yet, we have Bartolo Colon in the bullpen and John Neese. So we have a lot of different weapons, and obviously I'm here to do everything I can, and all those guys are too.
And right here, just to the left.
Hi, Matt. You also played on a team with Mike Moustakas and Christian Cologne. What do you remember about your time with those guys, and how do you think that kind of helped you in your career?
Well, I think it's fun. I think, obviously I've worked out with Moose, a couple different off seasons in Newport at BSTI, but I think the bond and the relationship that we all have as baseball players is what makes this so much fun, and being able to watch those guys last year in the World Series and be able to play with them now, it's pretty surreal and pretty exciting. I don't think, obviously we all knew that we had a gift and we're talented at what we did, but to be playing against each other in the World Series, I don't think at the time we ever really thought about it.
And over here to the left.
Matt, the Cubs obviously, great offense, but they do strike out a lot. The Royals don't. As a power pitcher, what are the challenges of going up against an extreme contact hitting team like this?
Yeah, I think for us it's mixing our pitches in and not relying on our effective velocity, but going out there and going over the scouting reports, finding out what works and what works against this team specifically. Obviously we knew going into the Cubs series what they were about, and we've done our homework here, and we know what Kansas City's about. And for us, I think going forward, it's being able to pitch, which obviously all of us are able to do. So we're going to definitely pitch them effectively and to our game plan and stick with that.
And again to the left.
Was there a specific day that you remember before the playoffs started where you just went in to Terry and say, listen, you know what, I'm fine, just give me the baseball for as long and for as hard I need to go with it? Was there a day just before the playoffs started, or a conversation that you had specifically with him to tell him that? Or
I think during all of the stuff that was going on, I think between him and David Wright and the team, I wanted to make it clear that I wanted to pitch and I wanted to be there, and the last thing I ever wanted to do was put the ball down. But obviously, I knew as a player and as a person, in general, any player in this game wants to play this game for a long time, and be healthy, and it brought up a concern. So as a human being, beside being an athlete, your career and your health is always a natural thing to worry about. So I think there was some people that threw me under the bus a little bit about what was going on, but for me, being out here with my teammates is all I want, and I couldn't be happier to be here with them now.
And to the right in the back.
So with all that said, what's it mean for you to get the ball in Game 1, and what do you think it's going to be like tomorrow night, starting Game 1 of the World Series?
Well, I think for all of us, we're kind of sitting around the locker room all talking to each other, and I don't think anything's really set in for us yet, which in our minds I think is a positive. I think we still realize that it's a baseball game, and for me this is another start. Obviously it's a start on a different level, but it's still baseball, and we have to go out and do our jobs. 1 through 9 in the lineup, and I think going into the clubhouse, going through our workouts, I think this group is very confident, very dedicated, and very focused on our task at hand.
And again over to the right.
You talk about how important the rest of your career is and balancing that with this year. Does having an insurance policy give you the peace of mind to go out this year and pitch like you want to, as opposed to potentially having any second thoughts about it?
I don't think there was really any doubts in the first place. If there were, they were brief and something you got to understand as an athlete. There's always risk, and there's always that concern for not being able to play anymore. But I think for what has come out, I think it does help your mind a little bit in the future. But regardless of that, regardless of any of the talks, for me, being with my teammates and playing at this stage and this level and where we're at, it's all I ever wanted.
And over here to the left.
Matt, do you, Jake, and Noah and Stephen realize the opportunity you have to be thought of as the great Braves rotations or the great A's rotations or the great Orioles rotations? Do you guys think of yourselves as that type of rotation right now, or do you have to accomplish more for it to be thought of like that?
I think that kind of goes along with where we're at as a team. I think none of us have really sat back and kind of realized where exactly we are, and I think after yesterday's workout, all looking at each other, realizing that this is the World Series. I don't think it still has kind of hit home for us, but along with that, I think the four of us are so dedicated and so excited to be out here and be playing. I don't think any of us have really sat back and kind of realized what we can accomplish as a group, and we're more excited to be out there and compete and do everything we can for our team. That all that outside success or speculation is right now it's about our team and about winning.
And the last one in the left back.
Matt, even with the long 17 months of rehab with the Tommy John, in a short amount of time in your career, you've pitched the All-Star game, the NLDS, Game 1 of the NLCS. You're going to start Game 1 of the World Series. Do you ever stop and just think, what's happened in a short amount of time?
I don't think I have. I think my mother definitely has. She's the number one supporter of kind of saying two words together that bring shock to her mind about the success that her little boy has had. And my sisters are a couple years older than I am, so they I basically grew up with three mothers, and they all couldn't be more proud. And I'll leave it to them. They do enough of that, sitting back and realizing what I've been able to accomplish and how thankful I am.